And welcome to the first Rights Here, Rights Now podcast. In this podcast, we are going to discuss the topic of energy because it's such a prominent subject at the moment. We're going to cover some of the help that is available for those who might be struggling with their energy costs and also ways that you can reduce your energy bills. With me today, I have our energy advisor, Hazel, who is going to help me to discuss some of these topics. So Hazel, first of all, can you tell me about some of the help that is available for those who are struggling with their energy costs?
Hi there, Emily. Help available. Well, we've got the Priority Service Register, we have the cold weather payment, we have the warm home discount, and the winter fuel payment. Among a few, I'll give you a little bit of information about each one. So the warm home discount, this is a discount of £140, which is deducted from your electricity bill only. Some of your suppliers will split it over between your gas and your electricity. You just need to ask them, but generally it's just paid to your electricity because everybody has electricity. So that's sort of the way they look at it. You will automatically qualify for the discount on the 4th of July 2021, all of the following apply. Your electricity supplier was part of the scheme. Your name or your partner's name was on the bill, and you were getting the guaranteed credit element of pension credit. Okay, there is broader group which would qualify. So if you were on universal credit, for example, on PIP, if you were on housing benefit and council tax reduction, if you were on council tax with severe disability part and things like that.
Okay, so it's available to those who are accessing means-tested benefits.
Yes.
And am I right in thinking that it's accessed directly through your own energy provider, provided that they are part of the scheme?
That's a very important question, because the thing is with it, not all energy providers are part of the scheme, and that is something, if you're ever changing your supplier, which I would advise you not to at this precise moment, but if you ever do, that is one of the questions you should ask, if they are part of that scheme. And every energy provider has a different criteria as well. So, I mean, I did a lot of, for example, SSE ones, which was quite very straightforward. I could do it on the telephone with the client. I just signed in to their account and with their, obviously with their information, because they were speaking to me, and it's just straightforward questions like your account number and like your email address, your dates of birth, what benefits you were on, and then you would have to have a secondary. So, for example, if you're on universal credit, if you were getting, as I already said, if you were getting PIP, or if you were getting the housing element or council tax reduction and things like that, yeah.
And you mentioned that the date for this was in January, so is the scheme now closed for this year?
Yes, scheme is closed for this year. A lot of them close sort of quite early. Scottish Power actually were only open for maybe about 6 weeks, and SSC were open, I think, from about. They normally all open about October. It's a case of just keep an eye out for it.
Okay, so
Um,
the scheme's there kind of in the peak of winter when it's the
yeah,
coldest. Okay,
yeah,
that's perfect. So
yeah.
people should just keep an eye out for that next winter and make sure that they come to us if they've got any questions.
Yes, definitely. The winter fuel payment is an annual payment for people of pensionable age to help keep warm in the winter. Payments vary between £100 and £300. It just depends on the individual. It's automatically done, so you don't have to apply for it
Okay, so they
if
don't
you're
need
on
to do
state.
anything to
No,
get it.
no.
Perfect.
The cold weather payment, this payment is made automatically to people on pension credit. Clients who receive income support, income-based job seekers allowance, income-related ESA, plus an additional benefit of, for example, disability premium, disabled child premium. What this is, the cold weather payment is it's for households that experience temperatures below 0 degrees Celsius over a 7 consecutive day period between the 1st of November and the 31st of March. They will automatically receive £25 for each of that 7 day period, right?
Okay.
So, but it has to be like that 7, it's not broken. It has to be, we have had a cold snap of 7 consecutive days where the temperature has been below 0 degrees, which really hasn't been this winter. But we'll see what happens.
So again, that one is one where if you're eligible, there's not really anything that you need to do. It's an automatic payment.
The only one that you really sort of have to do anything about is Warm Home Discount.
And there was one other that you mentioned.
I was talking about the priority service. The priority service is, again, every company is different, and it is basically if you are deaf or hard of hearing, have a disability, live with children under 5, are blind or partially sighted, have a chronic illness, and use medical equipment, aids reliant on electricity, or are over 60, then you can qualify for your supplier's priority service register. What this is it'll give you free gas appliance safety check, relocation of meters for improved access, password protection scheme, quarterly meter readings, bill nominee scheme, advance notice of supply interruptions, and bills in alternative formats. It's a good idea to have, especially if you are of pensionable age, disabled or chronically sick. It's really good to have this, and it's for things like, if you keep your medication in the fridge, it's you should be on it. It's so I really, and again, it's every supplier is different what the eligibility is, but it certainly is a good thing to be on.
Okay, and people, should they just contact their supplier and explain that they need to be on that register?
Yeah.
Okay,
but they'll just be asked general questions about their health and things like that. And, as I say, different ones have different criteria.
Okay, so certainly something for people to think about who might be eligible.
Yeah.
Another thing that I wanted to ask you about is the fuel bank. So how does the fuel bank work?
The fuel bank is if you have a prepayment meter and you are on means tested benefits and you are in emergency credit, there is vouchers out there to help you keep on top of your energy. The thing is with it, they're £49 at this time of year. They usually go back down to £30 usually the end of this month. I'm not sure if that's going to happen this year, but so it's £49 and you get 3 of them. But these are buffers. It's not. You shouldn't solely rely on these vouchers, because what will end up happening is you're not actually achieving anything. What these are for, like, or say you put £30 in your electricity each week and you're using your emergency more often than you would have been before. You get this £49, you put the £49, but you still keep putting your £30 in. It just gives you a wee bit of buffer. It's not to instead.
Yeah, so you shouldn't rely on it, but it's certainly there to help where you are falling into emergency credit more than you would be.
Yeah. People ask, why is it just for prepayment meter? The thing is with a prepayment meter is a prepayment meter you can self-disconnect, which won't happen if you've got a credit meter, a standard credit meter. I mean, you'll be in arrears and things like that, but you will still have electricity and things like that. Okay. But with prepayment, you can self-disconnect.
And the voucher itself, what form does it come in and how do people use it?
Well, there's an option, because of where we are and whatnot, it's text or email. So, when you speak to whoever you're dealing with at Citizens Advice, we'll ask how you're wanting it. So is it text or email? And so it's generally text. So what happens is there's questions we have to ask. So it's like how many, like, first off, straight off, who your supplier is, how many adults are in your property, how many children, and then it will be asked how you would like to receive it, text or email, and then you put down whatever. So you'd say text, you get this text sent to your mobile phone with a code. It's a 10-digit code, and you take this code along with your key down to wherever it is you top up, and they will credit your meter for your key for £49. You will be asked by us how much, because we also have tick-off boxes. So if you're an emergency meter and emergency credit, and what benefits you're on.
Okay, and so people who want to access the vouchers, they should get in touch with us at the Citizens Advice Bureau
Yes.
to do that. And the criteria, just to mention again, is that you are in receipt of a means tested benefit and you are in emergency credit.
Yep.
Perfect.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right.
And what about help for people who have, say, fires or log burners? Is there anything available to get coal and sticks?
Yes, there is. There is also a thing called the heat fund, which is basically a fund that you can apply for coal and sticks. So the criteria for that again is you need to be on benefits, and when to do an application again, we do the application, and I would need a copy of slightly different. The fuel bank, it's an online referral. So it's tick boxes. This is different. This is actually an application form that we do. So we need copies of a bank statement or a benefit letter. We need to know who you get your, for example, your coal from. This area tends to be Bruce Lindsay's. So if it's coal again, I'm using as an example, we need to know what sort of coal it is you use. I didn't know there was a choice, but anyway, I'm learning. It's also school day. Um, we need to know what coal you're on, how much you can store, how much your banker will hold. It's actually quite straightforward to do. This one, with the fuel bank, for the 49 top up, it's you'll get your voucher within sort of 48 hours at the very most. This can take longer. This you're talking about maybe a couple of weeks at least before you can get this one. But yes, it's you can get it for LPG, you can get it for oil, you can get it for coal and sticks and things like that. Yeah.
Oh, so oil's covered as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and as you say, the criteria for that is again if you're in receipt of a means tested benefit,
Yeah.
and to access it, people should get in touch with the Citizens Advice Bureau so that you can assist them to fill out the application.
Yeah. And I will need proof, as I say, a bank statement and or benefit award letter.
Okay, so next I'd like to cover some of the things that people can do to help reduce their energy costs. So one thing that I've read recently is that if you turn your heating down by just 1 degree, it can actually save you £55. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. It's probably more than that now. Actually, you will save for the price of fuel. Ideally, what they say is the room that you sit in the most is you should keep at a nice sort of 21 degrees. The rest of the house should be sort of about 16. So yeah. And I mean,
Okay.
there's all sorts of changes that you could do. I mean, the thing is with it's about behaviour. That's the easiest way to explain about cutting costs. I mean, for example, in a sitting room, or a kitchen, how would you go about cutting costs and what you're doing there? I mean, there's different things that you can do there to cut costs.
Mm-hmm.
Just straight off the kitchen. If you use the right size hob for the pan that you're cooking with, always turn your taps off fully.
Mm-hmm.
Only boil the amount of water you require when boiling the kettle. Cook food in batches in the oven and eat for lunch and dinner the next day. Wash your laundry at 30 degrees. Turn your appliances off at the wall. Don't put the food like hot food in the fridge. Wait till it cools down, because what that does is the fridge has to work harder to keep the food to cool the food. That's just sort of examples. I mean, we could cover the whole house.
Yeah, so just kind of being mindful of which appliances in your house are using electricity and trying to reduce the amount you're using them, or, as you said, reduce the amount of water you're putting in the kettle so it's doing less work. Something that I'm quite pernickety about and my partner is quite bad for is forgetting to turn things off. I tend to go around the house and turn things off after him, but it's something that I'm certainly trying to put into practice a bit more at the moment. I've also turned my heating down by 1 degree. I'm not really noticing any change in it. I'm still quite happy with the temperature of the house. I heard that one of the big culprits for using energy is the tumble dryer.
Yeah, yes, that's correct. The tumble dryer is, but equally, there's other things that you wouldn't think of. I mean, anything with a clock, a digital clock. So like your microwaves that have got a clock, your cooker. Again, I personally, we got smart meters fitted not that long ago, and we now have a display, an in-house display. So you will all get fixated with this. because what you'll see is this dial that goes from green to amber to red. So, basically, as soon as we got this, it became very, very evident what was actually the high usage. And a kettle is really, really high. Again, I mean, I've been doing different talks with different groups, and something that actually somebody said to me, you can get a kettle now, and this kettle will keep the water hot for about, I think it's about 6 hours. It's like a thermos flask, so it's like a normal standard kettle, but it's got a button on it that you can slip forward that heat keeps it hot. And I think
Okay.
it's not a huge. I think it's only like 12 kilowatts or something like that. So it's a vacuum heat retention, quick boil.
Okay, that sounds like something that would really benefit me. I have a very bad habit of making cups of tea and forgetting about them and then reboiling
Yeah,
the kettle to remake more tea. So
yeah,
something that would hold the water hot would be excellent for
yeah.
myself.
Well, seemingly I'm not doing any advertising for Amazon, but yes, that's where I
Um,
seen it.
and last time we spoke, you also mentioned an energy efficient shower head. I didn't know that I know the shower, you can reduce your time in there, but I didn't realize that you could actually get a head fitted that would make the shower more efficient.
There's actually a website. It's getwaterfit.co.uk. Basically they have got, it's Scottish Water. So basically they have got different things on there that you can, it's free. So they've got timers, and so basically telling you've been in the shower long enough and get out. There's, as I say, they've got water heads. They've got things you can put in the cistern, so you don't use so much water. There's all sorts of different things you can put in the top, so you get the pressure but without the actual quantity of water. So that's another good one to go on to.
Oh, that's brilliant. So what I'll do is I will get the website and I will link it below for anybody that wants to have a
Mhm.
look at the website as well. Another thing that I have on my list here is placing furniture in front of the radiator. That can be quite a bad thing.
There's quite, you have to be conscious about a lot of things. I mean, in terms of, you can heat your house make your house as hot as you possibly want to, but if you've got bad insulation, all your heat is disappearing at the chimney, out the roof, out, drafty houses, ill-fitting doors, things like that. You need to be conscious about things like that. I mean, another thing is like having radiators under windows, things like that. It's an absolute pointless exercise because basically the heat's going out the window. So I mean, it's shut curtains, and it's keep doors shut, use draft excluders, and
I was talking about placing furniture in front of the radiator. Obviously, that's blocking the heat from getting out into the room. But
yes,
it's
it
it's
does.
more than that. It's about kind of being mindful of ways that you can actually keep the heat in with you instead of
Yes,
letting it
yeah.
escape elsewhere.
I mean, you have to be. I mean, something that people are quite bad about is we touched on tumble dryers. I know tumble dryers are expensive to use, but what a lot of people do is they dry their washing inside the house,
Mhm.
which is not a good idea. If you do it, I mean, we live in Scotland, you haven't really got a choice. You need to make sure you open a window so you can vent out some of the condensation, because I hear so many from different clients, things like that their houses are damp, they've got condensation, they've got this, they've got that, and all the rest of it. And you ask them, well, where do you dry your washing? I dry my washing in the house. I said, well, that's not helping. You need to open the window to let some of this. Same as when you come out the shower, you need to let the condensation out, because what happens is areas that there's a build up of mold, condensation, whatever, these cold spots, any heat that you're producing is going to be drawn to that area.
Okay.
So I mean, again, it's what you've sort of said, touched on before, is pulling furniture away from the walls and things like that is so heat radiates, so you don't get mold and things like that.
Okay, so I think just to sort of summarize what we've kind of just gone over. So think about your appliances, which ones are using the most energy, try and turn them off at the wall, try and
Mhm.
reduce use where you can. Look at ways of making your water use more efficient because that has a knock-on effect as
Yeah.
well. Think about ways that you can help radiate the heat effectively and then keep the heat in the room that you want it to be in. And with things like drying your washing and things like that, maybe think about where you're doing that.
Yeah,
Can you open
definitely.
a window nearby, and maybe don't do it in the living room, the room you use the most, because you
Yeah.
need to keep that room warm. Put it in a bedroom that you're not using and open the window to let the condensation out.
Again, with a bedroom, you have to be sort of careful because it's soft furnishings, your bedding and things like that. Unlike if you've got clothes in the wardrobe. I mean, probably if you were going to dry washing, I'd be tempted to be either a bathroom or a kitchen.
Okay.
But there's not, when you think of, if you dry washing in a bedroom and you've got a duvet in there, I mean, that's going to get damp.
Okay, so kind of avoid your soft furnishing,
Yeah,
somewhere where you can open a window, and maybe not where you're planning on spending most of your time, because you
yeah,
want to keep the
definitely.
heat into that room.
Yeah.
The final thing that I really wanted to touch on, and you did mention earlier that you've actually got one yourself, is smart meters. I know that a few people are kind of wary of smart meters, and people think that they have to get them. So just tell me a little bit about them.
Smart meters, right. The first thing you've just said, you don't have to get them. I know they're going to be rolled out. They have to be rolled out by, I think it's next year, 2024. Smart meters are a new type of meter for gas and electricity, which will be offered to all British households in the next few years. Smart meters are a good way of managing your energy usage, as they help you keep track of real time of when you are using the greatest amount. What I must say is they don't cut down your energy bills, but what they do is make you more aware and proactive about your energy use. But again, it's all about behavior. I mean, it's realizing that, as I've said before, the worst thing I do, which I'm terrible for having my phone charger always plugged in, and so whenever I go to charge my phone, I just fire it in, and that's it. I mean, that's using energy, that's using electricity all the time. It's just about behavior. Smart
Okay.
meters are being installed in homes across Great Britain, replacing traditional meters, including prepayment meters. You should be offered two pieces of equipment. They are the smart electricity and gas meters and an in-home display,
Okay.
also called a smart meter display or monitor. It is a wireless system, and you don't need to have Wi-Fi in your home for it.
Okay. And do people have to pay anything to have smart meters installed?
No, no, no.
So it's
Oh.
free, provided by the provider. You just have to speak to your provider
Have to speak to your
and they'll.
provider. But I will say that they are so far behind in putting them out. There,
Okay.
there's just. I mean, the only thing I will say, as I say, you don't have to take one. If you're offered one, and you don't want, you don't have to. But the thing is, it will come a point that you won't have an option, because they're not making traditional meters anymore. It's only smart meters that they're making.
Okay, but in terms of kind of the benefit to each individual person, the display allows them to see at what points and which things are using the most energy. So it comes back to that idea of being mindful of which appliances
Mm-hmm.
are kind of the main culprits, and trying to reduce your usage or turn things off at the plug, and just kind of remembering to do those things, building habits around kind of saving more
Yeah.
energy.
It is. It's definitely habit. It's good habits. It's making sure your home is. Key things is making sure your home is insulated, and there is grants and different things out there to help you with that, right? So there's insulation. It's being mindful. I mean, the thing is with it, your bedroom, for example. I mean, put on a thicker duvet on your bed, or put a blanket on your bed instead of having the heating cranked up. It's things like that. Just be mindful.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we will wrap it up there. I think we've gone through kind of a variety of things that people can do, and we've also talked about some of the help that's available. What I would say is, if anybody has any energy worries or has questions relating to anything that we've talked about, or anything else that's energy related, they are more than welcome to come to us at Ross and Cromarty Citizens Advice Bureau, and to speak to yourself. Our contact number is 01349 883 333. And you can also visit the Citizens Advice website, which is www.citizensadvice.org.uk/Scotland. And there's a search bar where you can search energy or search utilities, and it'll take you to the relevant information. Hazel's mentioned a couple of other things that I will link in the comments below. I think that's us for today. Thank you very much, Hazel, for coming to chat to me. I really appreciate getting some of your knowledge here, because I know that energy costs are a big worry for a lot of people at the moment. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
That's no problem at all. Okie doke, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you very much, and bye.
Okay, bye.